And welcome to the Pacific Catch post-game show. Across from me, I got Aaron Larsoul. Aaron, how you doing, my man?
I'm well. People have been asking me this all day, and I think for the holidays, maybe this is true for everybody, but I end up cooking a lot for my family and have a lot of entertaining to do. So the holidays are both extremely tiring and relaxing kind of at the same time. So I'm well, thank you. I'm glad we got a bunch more hoops to watch. So,
well, you should have just ordered some ramen from our friends over at Pacific Catch.
Is it still undefeated when you get the specific bowl, or the Warriors still undefeated?
It's 100%. So they debuted the winter noodle time menu. Mm-hmm. Let's call it Thanksgiving-ish.
Okay.
And the Warriors are 4-0 when I get myself some Pacific Catch noodle time takeout. Okay. Now, I know what the listeners are thinking. Why are you not getting it for every game?
It's a reasonable question.
And the reality is I'm selfish. But it's good. Everyone should give it a try. I'm seeing photos of Joey Lightyears just fist bumping. I think we call it out. Tonight was the Jonathan Kuminga game for the Golden State Warriors.
Is that who he's fist bumping? Is that what you're seeing?
I mean, it's just, anytime the young guys win, it's a Joey Lightyears victory.
Yeah.
And you know what? Take a victory lap. But Warriors win 110-105 over the Charlotte Hornets. And, multiple things we could talk about. They were up 18. They gave it away for a few minutes there. I was like, oh, they're going to really throw this one away. And then Jonathan Kuminga, I would say, more than anyone, kind of physically inserted his will in a game that kind of exemplified why they wanted a player like him, right? 15 straight threes they miss, kind of just a jump shooting back and forth slog, just dying for someone to physically impose their will. And he's not at the stage of like, I'm going to take over the game offensively, but it was a big physical defensive play, some key rebounds, and just kind of asserting force in a way that, like, guys like Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, great as they are, it's not their game.
So this has long been the Warriors thing, and it has long been the teams that have given them the most problems are the young teams, the athletic teams, long and athletic teams. You can go back to 2016, the series against OKC with Ibaka and Westbrook and Durant and all that, and Roberson. And I think part of the reason why those teams have given the Warriors problems and why the Warriors want those kind of guys also is because it provides options. It provides dimensionality, if that's a word. I think it is. The Warriors have never been, even with Durant, the Warriors have never even been really functional offensively without Steph. The entire system is built around Steph. And so when Steph isn't there, it bogs down. And they don't have guys that can create. Jordan Poole is the exception to that, but he's small. When you have those kind of guys like Jonathan Kuminga, those are the guys that can get you, I call them playoff buckets. Like when you have nothing else going, when the Warriors can't get their system stuff, when they're getting punked physically by the opposition, Kuminga, as he showed with a couple buckets late tonight, is one of those guys that can physically just impose his will and go get you a bucket, go get a tough two.
And that's the whole Warriors thing. It's like no one is better at leveraging their shooting to get easy buckets than the Warriors. But at a certain point, you can only do so much like intricate passing to get a shot. Right. Sometimes you just need a guy who can force it down their throat.
Right. And just go get me one. You need a, Kawhi or DeMar DeRozan or somebody who can go get you a tough two. And Kuminga, when there was nothing else going, he got that steal and then kind of pushed it, and Klay missed that three. But it was, and then had the little floater against Hayward. And they were trying to run. They were trying to run split action for it. The Warriors had nothing going offensively until he decided to physically impose his will. They had a split action with him that ended up in a Draymond three. Like that's just terrible offense until Kuminga did the hey, I'm gonna go get a bucket.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's exciting because I feel like we can all talk two timelines. We can all say like, oh, Wiseman's farther behind than we thought, or Moody's not really. But like, if you don't look at it, at least Kuminga's been the guy who's progressed the most this year. And it's positive to see him that way, because with them letting guys like GP2 and Otto go is a big gamble that young guy was going to step up. And Kuminga, we're not even to the new year. There's still a lot of season left, like majority of it, to be honest. So, but like he's taken a step. And if you were to ask me preseason, he was my pick. He's still my pick to be the guy who's going to play the most minutes in the playoffs, because we know big wings, like there's no number of them you can have. That's too many in a playoff series. Yeah. And, shooting issues aside, he's still figuring that out. And everything aside, like he looks like he's profiling to be a player who can play in legitimate playoff minutes. And that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. So I think that's what it is. And you on this show, I listen to your show. I'm an avid listener. You guys have lamented this, and everybody, all the writers that cover the team have lamented this, and fans have lamented this on Twitter and in calls on your show. The strength and number stuff is bullshit now. It's just doesn't exist, because there isn't a 15th guy. Iguodala hasn't played yet. That's 2 empty roster spots. Baldwin and who's the point guard?
Let's give some Rollins. Love to Ty Jerome and Anthony Lando.
Right.
But you're mentioning Ryan Rollins.
Ryan Rollins. Yeah, they need those guys, right? They have maybe among the best two-way guys. Maybe they're the 2 best two-way guys in the league. Maybe. But they need them, right? And then Kuminga wasn't playing, and Moody wasn't giving anything, and Wiseman was in the G League. So the fact that I think now, first of all, I agree with you. I think the fact that we can now, at least in my opinion, and it sounds like in yours, say definitively that Jonathan Kuminga can be a rotation guy in the playoffs, I think it is very, very meaningful. How good is he going to be? He'll still have moments where he looks lost, but like he is a rotation guy in the playoffs. And I think also very meaningfully, you saw this on the Christmas Day game, he is assuming the GP2 role. Now, he's not nearly as good at it, but he is a guy that physically can slide his feet and move with Ja Morant and bother, those kind of ball handlers, which is what GP2 was so good at, especially now with Wiggins not being.
What I also love about him is he's pretty competitive. You can see, you could see that he's annoyed he doesn't get 35 minutes a game, and he gets annoyed that a guy like Ja Morant thinks he can't guard him. And there's it's a little irrational confidence, but like also it's exactly what you want. Like he doesn't strike me as a guy who's going to get shook in the moment.
I've said for a million years on this show and everywhere else publicly, like I colonized Wiseman Island, right? So I don't want to pick on James. But the comparison between the two, and James has had some nice moments the last couple games.
I thought today was a very positive growth.
But it's much easier. Like Jonathan Kuminga, who is chomping at the bit, is furious and competitive, and is trying to run all over the place, and is a bull in a china shop. It is much easier to rein in that aggressiveness and that enthusiasm than to try to imbue that spirit into somebody. Which it's too early to say anything definitively about Wiseman. But it seems like Wiseman gets in his own head and gets kind of introverted and down and disappointed when it's not going well. And Kuminga seems to get more competitive and angry. And I would rather try to rein some of that in than try to, nudge that into somebody else.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go bigger picture on this game. Look, they were up 18 against a Charlotte Hornets team on a back-to-back in what should have been a blowout game. So
that beat them in Charlotte, by the way.
So I don't want to be turning point win of the season. But end of the day, this Warriors team needs wins. They've thrown way too many games away. 2-0 starting the homestand here. And as ugly as this is, they haven't won ugly games this year. That's kind of been the issue with them. If they won ugly games, they're the 4th seed in the West right now. I can think of 5 games on top of my head where I'm like, how do you lose that game in Utah?
Detroit, Charlotte,
How do you
both
lose?
Indiana games.
Yeah, exactly. Like games which aren't even down to like,
Orlando
getting punked by someone making a better shot. It's more down to like you didn't show up. And so they, at a certain point, you need to start racking up W's, because if you don't, you're the 11th or the 10th seed, which is not what they want to be. And so they did that, and they did that without Steph Curry. And let's talk a little Jordan Poole here, because I thought overall he played a pretty good game. And he's had a rough go of it in the early part of the season, but this spell without Steph is starting to feel like exactly what he needs to just like figure it out. In some ways, he might be the guy who.
Are you sure we haven't figured it out?
What do you mean?
So you know what it looks like? It looks like the end of last year without Steph. He's not as hot as he's shooting, right? So he's not putting up those.
Sure, he wasn't hitting his threes, and at the end of last year, he couldn't miss from three.
Right.
But yeah.
But it feels like, I think maybe we figured it out. He just, when he starts, he's that guy. And when he doesn't start, he kind of isn't. Now, what to do about that? It's fine without Steph and without Wiggins. I don't know. Like,
are we saying Draymond's the best player on the team? Because when you put Poole around Draymond, he gets to kind of roam a little bit, play a little more off ball, and play. He doesn't have to be a point guard. Is basically what it comes down to.
I think Draymond's the third best player on the team. Yes, he's the best available player. Yes,
sure. I'm not going to disagree with you.
Because Poole does some of the stuff in which the ways in which Draymond is effective offensively, playing off Steph. Jordan Poole does a 78% version of that, of what Steph does.
84 to 87.
Sure. For me. Sure. Okay. So it allows Draymond to still do some of these similar things. It's not going to work as well because no one's Steph, but yeah, it allows Draymond to be much more effective. And I don't know what the Warriors do about it. You're not going to bench, the real answer is maybe you bench Klay, which is just a non-starter. So I don't know what the Warriors do about it, unless they are going to, in the playoffs, play the pool party lineup and just bench Looney, who is a robot and can do anything and doesn't care.
There's two thoughts in my head, which is either you adjust the offense you run when Draymond's not on the floor. More people think the offense is for Steph. I still think the offense is more for Draymond. And he's worth it because he does so many things to help you win the game, including getting you out into transition and getting you a lot of easy buckets just by virtue of running. Mm-hmm. But I kind of feel like the offense is predicated more on how do we bring the most out of this player who is very smart and does a bunch of stuff, but maybe isn't meant to stand the corner in a pick and roll offense, right?
No, he's not going to stand in the dunker spot either. No, I think so. I guess one slight. I do think it is a Steph offense, which is why even with really good talent, it doesn't work without Steph. So I guess my to try to put a finer point on it, I think the offense is more about the synergy of Draymond and Steph than it is Draymond.
Sure. But so to bring this back to Jordan Poole, they've tried to solve it when Steph was healthy by kind of staggering Steph and Draymond a little more, getting Draymond with the second unit a little bit, which definitely helps. It's you have the adult with the young.
And the second unit was also a disaster until.
It's like you compound it when you throw a bunch of kids around Poole. You're like, Jordan, it's time for you to be Chris Paul with a bunch of 19-year-olds. That's kind of unfair.
Probing Steve Nash, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it does kind of point to they could use another veteran to play with the second unit in some ways. Whatever. We got a month till trade deadline. We'll walk through all those machinations a million times over when it comes. I want to ask you this. What did you think of Klay's games today?
So obviously he was really hot from the start, and again, I think I've said this on your show before. I don't think anyone, certainly nobody in the NBA presently, and maybe in NBA history, gets as hot as Klay gets just as terrifyingly white hot as Klay gets. But I mean, some of the same issues, especially late, Klay still presses offensively because he's not who he was. Will he ever get back there? I doubt it, but maybe. And then he gets into bad habits, kind of fading and hunting shots and fading. And but one thing
he's going out shooting. No matter what you think,
right.
He's
what's the thing? Like he's going out on a sword or on a shield or whatever it is. He's getting. I mean, you can see, like, if you watch the game, maybe less so in person, but if you're watching the game on TV, you can kind of get a feel for Klay, and you can just say, like, this is going up. Like, Klay's shooting this. Period. It doesn't matter if it's a good shot. If he may think he has a good one and then has to reload it and put it on the ground.
Yeah.
And he still struggles dribbling the ball. One thing I was, though, impressed with, and this is a thing with him and Wiseman, is their pick and roll chemistry is much better than I suspected it would be. I mean, like,
I don't. It's better.
It feels
than
like
Poole.
Klay is the best pick and roll partner for whatever reason. Maybe it's because he's looking for him. Maybe it's because Klay is not going to over dribble. And for whatever reason,
maybe it's all the above.
And maybe because Klay is a little slower off the bounce than Steph is, or Jordan Poole is, or probably even Draymond.
That's so funny, but
he actually seems correct. He actually seems
the timing is right.
Wiseman sets like more substantial screens for Klay, it seems, than anybody else. Maybe it's just because he's setting better screens now that he's back. But I think
think it's because Klay has taken him out on the boat?
Could be.
Maybe scared him in the middle of the ocean.
Right, we're going to leave you out here.
Yeah, it's like
tying
you hold the screen until I say.
Otherwise, maybe Klay is intimidating. So I don't know if it's a combination. It's probably a combination of all of it. And like, Klay is not a great passer, but like, he is established enough in the league. This is why I said, like, I didn't know how much help it was going to be for James to go down to the G League. It seems like it has been, but because those guys are not looking to get anybody else involved. And some of that seems to be the case with Ty Jerome too, and definitely with Poole, that they're looking for themselves, Ty Jerome, to establish himself in the league. He's looking for his own thing. And Klay maybe is established enough that, like, he doesn't care. He's just trying to get a bucket. Maybe he likes James, but the screens seem to be better when Klay is the ball handler. My guess is it's Klay's lack of ball handling, and he's coming off slower, so it gives James more time to set one in a more sturdy fashion. But
they move at the same pace.
They are. So from what, to my eye, I don't know if the numbers support this. There's probably only like 5 instances of this in their careers.
That's the other part I was going to say.
But it's a small sample size. But to my eye, it looks like the best pick and roll partner for Wiseman is Klay, which was a shock to me.
I agree with you on that. That's actually a great call out on it, because it's you wouldn't expect it, but those, and I count 3 in this game, but they were all effective. Every one of them turned into a good shot. Wiseman had that finger roll, splitting the defense, which was just like beautiful. And literally, like, those are the type of plays where you're like, yeah, I can't trade this guy. That's too.
Like, that's the type
of, they aren't
anyway. Ain't trading him.
They aren't anyway. But like, what I'm saying. Like, those are the plays where you're like, they get very excited about
the Warriors roster is what it is.
Yeah. Anyway, like, that's either.
You're not trading Kuminga either, and
I don't does anybody want to go down that rabbit hole? My point is, like, those are the plays that get you really excited about who can be.
Those are the ones where you go like, oh yeah, that's why he was the second pick.
Exactly. That's I don't see 7-footers move like that and have that kind of like silky touch and that sort of stuff. So anyway, your point is accurate. Let's talk a little Wiseman, because I thought today was a positive game for him. Definitely building upon the Christmas Day game. He played 10 minutes tonight, ended with 8 points, 2 rebounds, +1. He had I think he had a really strong early stint when he came in, and then he did what young players do, which was kind of fell asleep, and the other team got a little run on him a little bit. But any way you want to slice it, like, it does feel a little Jordan Poole-ish, where he goes down to the G League and he just has a better idea of what he wants to do when he plays the Warriors. Like, before he went to Santa Cruz, I'm like, this dude's not an NBA player. What is going on here? And now it's at least like, okay, he's clearly an NBA player, and there's work to be done to figure out who he can be, but like, he seems to have basic concepts of what he should be doing figured out.
So when I say, like, I didn't think it was going to be all that useful for him to go, it was that on the offensive end. On the defensive end, getting all those reps, and because there are like the G League is full of guards that can get buckets.
Sure.
And so like getting those pick and roll reps, how far to come out, how deep to drop, what to challenge, what not to challenge. I think he has improved. There's still, he goes like sometimes he's like hesitant to try to go affect a shot. Then sometimes he goes too late and then leaves it all for whoever's behind him. But some of that is on some of his help also. But I mean, yeah, you see like the again, like there are still, even in the worst of times, there are those flash moments. Even in his worst games, there are those flash moments where you go, oh yeah. And look, I don't think he was as good tonight as he was on Christmas.
No.
But the fact that like it's not a regression, right? It's something like still, and look, development is not linear, right? Progress is not linear. But the fact that it wasn't like a big step back, I think speaks to the fact that he should probably stay in the rotation. Especially without Steph and Wiggins. The Warriors just don't have any size. They just don't have functional size. So having him around just to like absorb some fouls, he still fouls way too much, but absorb some fouls, challenge some shots, like all the stuff that it looks like is slowly coming along. I don't think he's a playoff player yet, but I do think he, at this point, should get like he should get 7 minutes every night. And if it's going well, okay, maybe he gets 12 tonight. I think you said he was a +1, right?
Yeah.
I believe, I don't know where I heard this stat, but that would make the first time this season, maybe the first time in his career, he's had back-to-back positive plus-minus games.
Correct.
And his fourth positive game on the season.
And that's really all you can ask for. He's growing. Yeah. He's growing. Hey, whether you think he's going to come around to be that player in the playoffs or you want to trade him, and I know the Light Years listeners are mixed on that one, and I'm not here to argue with you. It's neither of those are happening if he's not progressing as a player. So like everyone should be hoping for that, and that's a positive. I want to ask you. Okay, so the Warriors are now 2-0 on the homestand.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say stolen against Memphis, but if you looked at the homestand, you would have said that's probably going to be a loss.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like to see this homestand end at, the 8-game homestand? And what do you think they need to do to kind of like establish momentum? Because it seems like Steph's coming back after the homestand. I'm not counting on him playing.
You're thinking like 2.5, 3 weeks, right? That's what you're thinking?
Yeah.
10th, 13th, somewhere in there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So as the 10th, the last game of the homestand, is that right? And then the 13th is the first one on the road. So I think this is kind of like, how when you in a playoff series, let's say you start a playoff series on the road.
Sure.
And you win the first game, you're whatever the lower seed, and you win the first game on the road. And you kind of feel like you did your job, right? Like you want to go on the road and you get one.
You want to get one. Yeah, you want to go home 1-1. Yeah.
So then like the mentality you take towards the second one, there's some human nature, which is like, okay, we kind of accomplished the job.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some that says, okay, let's get greedy. So I never think that, I don't think that unless you're down to the last game of the season, right? And you win or you go home. I don't think of games as must win, but I think there are like must reach a certain threshold stretches, right? So for this 8-game homestand, was tonight a must win? No. Was it a must win if they had lost to Memphis? No. But I think you need to go like, especially considering the competition. At some point,
you need to start winning some games.
You need to go like 5-3. So are any individual game must wins? No. But like 5 of these are must wins. Pick which ones you want. But I think that, and this is the problem with giving away, the Orlando game and the Detroit game and the Indiana game, and like so now you do have to win some you're not supposed to win. So I don't think because they gave those games away with Steph earlier in the year, I don't think you get to say like, all right, we were trying to go 5-3 or 6-2, whatever. And you get the Memphis one. You didn't think so. So, okay, the goal is the same. No, I don't think so anymore. I think this is the tax for giving those games away. So I think whatever you thought the Warriors needed to go 5-3 or 6-2, you need to elevate it, or 7-1, whatever. You need to elevate it by one game because they got the hardest one. And I don't think because they gave those games away earlier, I don't think they haven't banked any. So you still have to. They need to win. What are there 6 more? I think they need to go like 4-2 at minimum. 5
and that'd be great. You go 6-2 on the homestand. I think if you told anyone pre-homestand 6-2 without Steph, let's throw the parade basically.
At this point, it might be without Wiggins too. Do we have any idea what's going on?
Yeah.
He got sick. He's cleared to play, but was sick today and tomorrow.
He's fine.
And maybe Friday. What?
The light years doctors can confirm he'll be fine on Friday.
Okay.
I feel very confident in that one.
How do we know he's going to be sick tomorrow?
It
was a weird release. I don't know. It was just a weird release.
I hear what you're saying. When a player's sick, they never rule him out for the following day.
He's cleared today, but he's sick.
He's out tonight. Anyway.
And he's not playing tomorrow. And we don't know about Friday. It's a weird news dump.
The Warriors, by the way, have the best home record in the NBA, which is the most bizarre thing on earth because the Memphis Grizzlies lost to the Phoenix Suns today. What I like to call the fraud Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think Dallas is a bigger fraud than Memphis.
I don't think anyone takes Dallas as serious as
Luka had him. Did you see Luka's line tonight?
Yes, yeah. Luka's. So I refuse to put them in one.
They were
60, 20, and 10 is
60, 21, and 10.
Yeah, that last rebound is important to the line. But yes, I hear you.
Hey, look, Dallas was in the West Finals last year.
Yeah, because Phoenix are frauds.
Yes, I think Phoenix are frauds. I despise Memphis, but I don't think they're frauds. I just think they're not there yet, and they like to talk more. They're more excited about where they're going than
you and I. You and I are just old, where it's just like.
No, you got to get. I mean, look, this is the way of the NBA. You got to get your head lumped up a couple times before you reach that mountaintop.
Over under on the Memphis Grizzlies achieving more than the Lob City Clippers.
Oh no, I think it's right there. I think that's exactly the right comp. You're gonna after it blows up, after Triple J demands a trade or something. After it blows up, you're gonna look back and be like, "Wait, you guys didn't ever make it out of the second round? You guys never won anything. What? Look at all these guys you had. You never won anything." I think that's what it's going to be. So push.
Okay. I like that. All right.
It's Tim. Hard. Winning is hard.
Winning is hard. That's true.
Winning is really hard, right? And there's all these teams that you think are going to go on forever, the Warriors included, and it just or whatever. OKC, they lost. They went 12 and lost, and we're like, they'll be back all the time. Nope.
The Pelicans are the one, and I actually think they have a shot at it. But would it shock you if Zion never got healthy at the right time and the Pelicans were more of an idea than a deep playoff team? It's hard. Like you said, it's hard.
This? I will put the number of titles, this iteration of Memphis, the Ja and Triple J and Bane, et cetera, and the BI, CJ, Zion, et cetera, Pelicans, and probably a nice pick from the Lakers. I will put combined titles at half.
And a Thompson
I'd still probably take the under. Winning is fucking hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of things got to go right for you to be that team. Everyone can be the up and comer, but to be the one who gets to the end of it, that's tough. Warriors know about that. That's tough. We got a couple of voicemails. I think we should get to them, and then we'll just call it short for the night.
Okay.
Hey guys, this is RJ again. I think it's safe to say that the Charlotte Hornets got cummed on by Jonathan Kuminga. Cum bucket. Go Warriors.
All right, that was not where I was expecting that to go.
Tim, quality control, bro.
That is not where I was expecting that to go. Kuminga was really good. I think what was whoever that caller was. I mean, what's your sexual preference, proclivities, all that? He sounded like he'd had a few beverages. He enjoyed the Warriors win.
Look, man, everyone's off. We're between Christmas and
New
Year's.
That's right. Yeah.
My question for you is let's end it here. What is your realistic upside take for Kuminga at the end of this season. I'm not talking about in 3 years because
Yeah,
I've already penciled him to the Hall of Fame. I need to know what you think is a realistic ceiling for him
You got
to
him Hall of Fame,
achieve. It's
Okay.
neither here nor there. I tend to always be super optimistic with young guys.
Yeah. You got him. They did
on
the
like
Hoop Collective
in like a macro sense.
Yeah.
My question for you is, what do you think is achievable for Kuminga in the next 6 months? Because that's what really matters. This is let's pull this back. Let's be honest. This team won the title last year. No matter, I mean, it's a height of cockiness to be like, I want to do 3 things at once. Like, they should repeat. So they should be, at least their goal should be to repeat.
Yes.
Is my point.
Yes.
And so the question should be, what can Kuminga give you in context of June of 2023?
So on with the Wind Horse, whatever that podcast, Hoop Collective or something, the latest episode they did, because Dame just passed Clyde Drexler to become the all-time leading scorer for the Blazers. And they were talking about which active players had a chance to become their franchise all-time leading scorer. Sounds like you have Kuminga penciled in to pass Steph to be the Warriors' all-time leading scorer.
No.
Not quite. Okay, so 6 months from now, or whatever, April, May, June, Kuminga, what is the ceiling for him? I think the ceiling for him is, 22, 25 minutes a game in the playoffs. What I think is a realistic expectation at this point is somebody that is going to play a rotation guy in the playoffs, that's going to play every game and can even be in some closing lineups matchup dependent. If he is going to be, I mean, Wiggins is too, but Wiggins has fallen off a little bit this year. He is still defensively, his on-ball defense has taken a step back a little bit. So Kuminga may be the best option against Dame, against Ja, against those kind of, and not so much Chris Paul, but like those kind of guys, the quicker lead ball handlers. He's probably, Wiggins is probably the best for Brandon Ingram, but like those quick, I think Kuminga should take a spell on Luka, who we were talking about, even though they're frauds and who knows if they're going to actually make the playoffs. So, but I think like matchup dependent.
Do you think
Kuminga can be like a real weapon? Do you think
he can fill in for Gary Payton II's role last year?
Yes. So this is kind of strange. Yes, I think he can with like 15 to 20% more offense and 15 to 20% less effective defense.
Sure.
The problem is the offensive stuff for GP2 is just a bonus. And like he was out there to guard. And if Kuminga can't do that quite as well, that matters more. But again, in certain matchups, I think he's probably the best option. So
yeah, no, I agree. I think he can look, GP is one of one in terms of like get underneath you and drive a ball handler insane. So he's like just the most unique player. But I do think Kuminga can play that role. And honestly, GP2 is playing 20 minutes per game in the finals. If Kuminga's playing 20 minutes per game in the finals, that's a win. Even if it looks
like broken elbow jumper.
But even if it looks different, you know what I mean?
Like
even if the things he's doing is a little different, of
the slashing, some of the dunker spot stuff, like some of that, his offensive role is pretty similar. And Kuminga's better at it. The size also helps, but the defensive, the reason that either of them are going to be out there in the playoffs is the defensive stuff.
Sure. All right, Timmy, let's get the next one.
Yo, what a game, huh? I mean, it was very fun in games. Like in the first half, I thought they were gonna run away with the 30-point lead in the second half and just sit guys, rest Draymond, Looney, and everybody. But it turned kind of ugly real quick, and usually it's always like Poole or Klay making the dumb errors, but I don't know what happened. It was just kind of like weird. And then just like that, I thought they were going to lose the game. And my hottest take is I thought this was going to be where Steve Kerr would blow up kind of because he can't take the fucking stupid mistakes by Jordan Poole anymore. But overall, it was a good game from Kuminga. Really, really good coming out party. So really happy with the win. Oh yeah, and then I just don't want to react anymore because this is just like, like they make so many dumb errors. I'm kind of done with it. But thanks for taking my call. Bye.
Appreciate you, bro.
I have a take on this.
Go for it.
So when I was watching the game, so I don't know what the home road thing is like that. I don't have that figured out. This goes beyond the role players play better at home. Like it's not,
yeah, it's too extreme.
I don't know what it is.
Like something.
I don't know
like,
if it's random. I don't know what it is, but
it's a little random.
So it feels like, so I'm watching this game and I kept seeing like, as the Warriors are tricking it off in the fourth, I kept thinking like, the old Arizona Cardinals coach and Stanford coach, Dennis Green, right? They are who we thought they were. Like I kept thinking that for the Warriors, like put Steph aside. Obviously Steph is maybe the best player in the league, but put Steph aside for right now. It seems like the road is just a disaster. I don't know why. And home is the Warriors like tend to win, right? They have the best home record in the league, but it feels like even with or without Steph, they kind of play to the level of their competition and need to feel like something, need to feel challenged, need to feel mentally stimulated, invigorated. They need a challenge, right? The Celtics game, the Memphis game, like obviously the Lakers had their attention in the opener and it's the ring ceremony. Like it feels like the Warriors need some external, and maybe this is the championship hangover, but even at home with or without Steph, it feels like the Warriors need something to push their buttons to get them going.
Yeah.
And Charlotte shockingly does not qualify.
No, it does not.
Nor does Indiana, right? Nor does Indiana without was it Healed? Turner didn't play. I don't think Halliburton played, right? And Nembhard had a million. Right. That's just for whatever reason the Warriors are.
I don't want to hear his name for the rest of the time. Tim, let's get to the last one. Oh, that's it. Well, I didn't read my private messages, so I apologize to everyone there. Yeah, I said we get out here on that. The Warriors play tomorrow night. Appreciate everyone who came in. Aaron, appreciate you, my man.
My pleasure. Anytime.
You have a good one.